What's the pettiest parking feud you've ever witnessed? I work at a small retail store tucked right in the heart of town. We're a niche shop and people travel from all over just to visit us. Because of that, parking is everything. If our lot is full, we lose business. Simple as that. Unfortunately, our next door neighbors, a family-run landscaping and garden supply store, have been a nightmare about parking for years. The bad blood between my boss and the landscaper goes back a decade, long before I even worked here. From what I heard, it started over something petty, like a tree on our side of the property. The landscaper thought it was ugly, complained, and somehow that turned into a feud that never died. The real problems started after the pandemic. Business in town picked back up, and suddenly our lot was overflowing. But here's the catch. A lot of the cars weren't our customers. They were parking for the landscaper's store. Now the two lots connect. Ours is about twice the size of theirs, but instead of sharing reasonably, the landscaper had reserved nearly all his spaces for his vans. The thing is, those vans were gone during business hours, so his customers just strolled over and filled our lot. Meanwhile, our own customers were circling around with nowhere to park. My boss actually tried to be fair about it. He approached the landscaper with a compromise. Maybe free up a few more spaces for customers, and if their vans needed extra room, they could park in our lot anytime. Seemed reasonable, right? Well, the landscaper shut him down instantly. He said his vans were absolutely crucial, and that was the end of the discussion. Voices were raised, threats were made, and it ended with my boss saying he'd put up a fence. The landscaper, smirking, told him to go ahead. Neither one of them spoke for 2 years after that. Fast forward to a few months ago, and we got a golden opportunity. A parking management company pitched us a deal. They'd install cameras that scanned license plates and automatically find cars overstaying a generous 3-hour free limit. Setup was free, they'd take a cut of the fines, and we'd get revenue too. Customers would still park free, freeloaders would get fined, and we'd even have the ability to grant exemptions. It was perfect. There was only one snag. The cameras needed to cover both entrances, ours and the landscaper's. Being the bigger man, my boss had the parking rep try to explain the system to our neighbor. The landscaper didn't even let the guy finish. He kicked him out, practically shouting that his lot would never become paid parking. So instead of shelling out thousands for a fence, my boss went with a different kind of barrier: rocks. One of his construction buddies had a stash of big leftover rocks and offered to drop them in place for cheap. The parking company even fronted the cost, to be paid back later. Early one Monday morning, a burly worker showed up with a crane truck and started setting the rocks. They were spaced just enough for pedestrians with carts, but completely blocked cars from cutting through. The landscaper stormed out, red-faced and yelling at the guy to stop. The worker didn't even flinch. He just told him to step back for his own safety. The landscaper retreated, humiliated. The best part? Those rocks turned out to be more than just a barrier. They became a daily headache for the landscaper's employees. Their muscle memory still had them driving into our lot, only to find themselves stuck and forced to reverse awkwardly. We even caught one of their vans clipping a rock on camera. Watching it back later had us nearly crying from laughter. The very next day, the parking company installed the cameras and signage. The landscaper's family lurked around, taking pictures and videos like amateur detectives, hoping to find a violation. But everything was done perfectly by the book. There was nothing for them to complain about. Then came the cherry on top. A few days later, the landscaper's son parked his car in our lot out of spite. He must have thought he was being clever, but he overstayed the 3-hour limit and got hit with a $150 fine. He actually came into our store, embarrassed, practically begging us to waive it. My boss smiled and said, "Oh, I'd really love to help, but it's out of our hands. The parking company deals with all fines." The look on that kid's face was priceless. He left with his shoulders slumped, and we haven't had a problem since. Now our lot is clear, our customers always have parking, and my boss walks around with a grin every day. The landscapers, meanwhile, are stuck pretending it doesn't bother them while still struggling to maneuver their vans in their cramped little lot.